What up, Wastelanders? Christopher here, Gaslands NorCal. Thanks for joining once again for another creation video. Now, if you were with me last week, first of all, thanks a lot. Second of all, you know that I did a twofer video with the gassers. Well, this time I'm going to do another twofer video, but we're going to crank it down in size a little bit, and we're still going to be doing some war rigs. I picked these up from Michael Crossman over at Creepy Hero Studios and printed them off. Shrunk them down half size so they will be the right size to do micro machines for micro gaslands. But I want to do some war rigs for them, so that's what we're going to do. Got a bunch of different stuff going on. Got the wheels and everything. Got some armor we're going to be putting on there. Going to be doing two different variations of them. One of them I know I want to do a highway patrol. The other one I'll probably just do a regular old wastelands, maybe like a slime or just something. Just maybe non-specific sponsor-wise, just a bunch of different weapons and everything else. But as you can see, these are, one piece, and I want to get them articulated. So I'm gonna cut the casting or the print, the resin print, right about here, so I can get them articulated so they can turn on the templates. So let's get those. These two things cut into pieces, and then we'll get them primed, and then we'll start looking at how we want to get these things all weaponized and painted up. It's going to be fun. Alright, so we got them all apart and cleaned up, so they're not all broken and everything else. So we're going to start off priming these all in white. And then we're going to paint over some of the other parts for the highway patrol in the black, just to make it, like the black and white for all the police type stuff. The other one, haven't decided on a color yet. Probably going to do some graffiti and stuff on it anyway, so it's not really going to matter. But yeah, let's get these primed up in white. We're going to be using the MIG primer. Really like this stuff. Works out really well. Flows pretty smooth through the airbrush. We're going to get that going. Get the rest of the stuff primed up in black and dry brushed in silver like I always do, and then we'll start getting these things together and start looking at some Waterslide decals, see what we're going to put on there to identify which faction these guys are all with. But first, let's get them primed up. Prime time. Alright, so we're all primed up in the white, all ready to go. Gonna be doing some stripes for the highway patrol with this tape. Probably even doing a couple lines just to get a little bit thicker going on there. So we'll be going over the cab and the window and stuff. For the other war rig, I'm gonna be doing this black-green, the Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl. Gotta love them. I'm gonna be doing the bright yellow-green for the cab. Got a bunch of wheels and weapons ready to go. A bunch of water slides for the highway patrol war rig. Some other cool stuff that I'm thinking about doing for the agnostic war rig. A bunch of wheels and weapons and everything ready to go. So let's get this taped up, we'll get some paint on there, and we see where we're going from there. Looking good so far. Alright, so we're all painted up and ready to go. I'm liking how the lines and everything turned out for the highway patrol rig. So yeah, next we're going to move on to some of the water slides, but before we get into that, we're going to do a little bit of weathering with the Agrax. Basically the same thing I do with the regular scale models and that aren't like fully 3D printed. Get it all Agrax, let that dry, get the water slides on there, then we'll start moving on to a little more detail work and getting the weapons and wheels and armor and everything else put on there. But first, let's get the Agrax on there and get some weathering going on and see how it looks, and then we'll move on from there. Righto? Alright, so the Agrax is all dried up and everything's ready to go. Got a bunch of the water slides all cut up and ready to go. Different ones for the highway patrol stuff and different ones for the agnostic. I think it's just going to be a catch-all kind of war rig. So we're going to get those on there. some of the stuff we're going to be covering up with armor and everything, but it's kind of the effect I'm going for. It's like it was sitting out there for a while, it got all tagged up and everything, then they're repurposing it to be a war rig for whatever, so it's kind of the vibe we're going for. So let's start getting the water slides on there. Again, the same type of method I used with my other builds, putting the water slides on there, letting them dry, then get them all covered up with the technical storm shield to make sure they stay and everything. So let's get the water slides on there, get these things detailed, and these things are actually looking really, really cool. So even for the micro gaslands, these should be pretty badass. So let's get some water slides going. All right, water slides all on there, looking really good. Loving how they bring everything to life. And we start off as, you know, just some smaller 3D printed war rigs, and now they're just really coming to life. So yeah, looking really good. Next, we're going to be moving on and doing a little bit more weathering with the chipping from MIG. And then we'll get on to do a little more of the detail work, like get the windshields and everything put on there and start getting everything all put together. Kind of thinking about how I'm going to get it all articulated. Probably just going to sink a little hook on this side and something on this side just so we can make it turn, so it can be used for gameplay. So yeah, let's start getting it all chipped up, and then we will get the windshields and everything all detailed out, and the grill, and then we'll start getting all the bits and pieces put on there. Yeah, these things are looking really, really cool. Loving it. All right, so we got them all kind of grunged up a little bit, got the chipping stuff going on, got the little articulated hook on there on both of them, working out pretty well. Next, we're going to move on, start getting everything together before we get it all rusted up, because I want the rust to be on the armor and everything else as well. Got some really cool stuff I'm going to be putting on there, so let's start getting them together. The Highway Patrol's not going to get a whole lot of spikes and everything else, just because it's the cops and they're, you know, trying to abide by the law, at least to a certain extent. But for the other one, yeah, we're just going to spike this one up, grunge it up and everything, put a big old ram and stuff on there. So let's start getting these things together, and then we'll see how they look before we get them all rusty. Really liking how these things are turning out. Awesome. All right, so we're all put together, all the pieces and everything on there, looking really cool. Got to get the final rust and dust and everything on there before we call these babies good. But yeah, from where these came from to where they are now, just outstanding. I love how these things turned out. The spikes, the Constantino wire, that big old wrecking ball and everything. Just gonna get a little more rust on these babies, and these will be good. Absolutely loving how these things are turning out for Micro Machines war rigs. Let's rust them up. Alright, and there we have it. 2 Micro Machine war rigs ready-made for the wastelands. Coming from Michael Crossman's Creepy Hero Studios, the 3D prints. Yeah, the things you can do with these little beasties is just outstanding, even in the Micro Machine size. So when I printed these things off, I basically just shrunk them down to half size. It's kind of what the Micro Machine scale is, and then yeah, painted them all up. Loving how these turned out. The Waterslide decals coming from all sorts, Rust Belt Customs, some from AK, some from Fallout Hobbies. I'll put links to all of their stuff in the description. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, do me a favor and hit that like button. My goal is to do weekly videos, whether they're vehicle builds, terrain builds, whatever. So if that's for you, please hit the sub button below and ring the bell to get notified when new content drops. I do sell all my builds pretty inexpensively on my Etsy page, so if you want to pick something up, see what else I've done, you can even request a custom build. Until next time, keep your foot on the gas and your finger on the trigger. Gaslands NorCal, signing out.